I thought I was just crashing at my buddy's place for a couple of nights. That was the plan. No big deal. A quick escape. I didn't even pack properly, just my old tote bag with a phone charger, a pair of leggings, and my laptop. I showed up at Levi Thompson's apartment in Seattle after 2 straight days of crying, feeling like the wind had been knocked out of me. Levi answered the door wearing joggers, holding a bowl of cereal, his long hair tied back in a loose bun. He looked surprised for a split second, but then smiled like it was normal for his college best friend to appear on his doorstep out of nowhere. "Lena Carter," he said, eyebrows raised. "Well, this is unexpected. I didn't even wait to be invited in. Can I stay here?" "Just a few days. I needed to get out of LA. Levi didn't hesitate. "Of course you can. Come on in." We'd known each other since freshman orientation at UCLA. He was the goofy, ridiculously smart guy in my English Lit class who always had snacks and always had time to listen. We'd never been romantic. That wasn't our thing. We were the kind of friends who talked through 3 a.m. anxiety and shared playlists instead of feelings. So showing up at his apartment in the middle of my personal crisis made perfect sense to me. I didn't explain everything that night. I didn't have the strength. I just told him that I left Aaron, my boyfriend of 3 years. Levi didn't push. He handed me a hoodie, made grilled cheese, and let me cry silently while we watched reruns of The Office. I was supposed to stay for 2 nights. Then maybe 3. By day 5, something shifted. Levi had to work that Thursday. He was in the middle of launching some kind of tech platform I didn't fully understand, so I stayed in the apartment alone, scrolling through job boards and trying to figure out how to start over at 27. I was in the kitchen reheating coffee when the front door opened and someone walked in. She was tall, with curly honey blonde hair, wearing leggings and a hoodie, AirPods in, carrying a yoga mat and a tote full of textbooks. She froze when she saw me leaning against the counter. Hi," she said, pulling one AirPod out. "Hi," I said awkwardly. "I'm Lena. I'm staying here for a bit." She blinked, then smiled. "Oh. You're that Lena." I tilted my head. "That Lena?" She grinned. "Levi talks about you like you invented sarcasm." "I'm Zoe, his roommate." Apparently, I was the only one Levi forgot to tell. The idea of Levi having a gorgeous, kind, yoga-practicing roommate made something twist in my stomach. I didn't show it. I just smiled and said, "Nice to meet you." Zoe was a grad student studying behavioral psychology. She had this calming presence, the kind that made you want to spill your soul 5 minutes after meeting her. We ended up chatting over iced coffee and leftover Thai food while Levi was still at work. She was easy to talk to, no judgment, no pressure. That night, when Levi came home, he looked between us with that same dopey grin he always wore when people got along. "You two met, huh?" Awesome. But I didn't feel awesome. Something about the way Zoe moved through the apartment, like she belonged there, like she knew Levi's habits and inside jokes, made me feel out of place in a home I wasn't even planning to stay in. But days turned into a week. By the second Friday, I was still on the couch. Levi and Zoe didn't seem to mind. I helped around the apartment, cooked breakfast, even edited some of Levi's pitch deck slides. I was finding pieces of myself again, slowly, in small routines. And Zoe? She became my unexpected confidant. She was the first person I told the full truth to, that Darren cheated. That he made me feel invisible for the last year. That every time I brought it up, he told me I was too sensitive. She listened. Really listened. Then she said, "Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is walk away from what we thought we needed." I didn't cry when she said it. But I felt something crack open. It wasn't long before Levi and I started spending more time together again, just the two of us. He'd take me on late-night walks to this overlook where you could see all of downtown lit up. We talked about everything, our dreams, our fears, the stuff we thought we'd outgrow but never did. One night, he looked at me a little too long. I felt it. That silence that buzzes with something more than friendship. "You're not going back, are you?" he asked quietly. I shook my head. "There's nothing to go back to." He nodded, but didn't say anything else. That weekend, Zoe went to Portland to visit her sister. It was just Levi and me in the apartment. I should have felt weird about it, but I didn't. We made pancakes Saturday morning, danced around to Fleetwood Mac, and ended up on the couch watching a documentary we never finished. That night, it stormed. Seattle rain wasn't new to me by then, but this storm was louder than usual. The power flickered and went out just after 10 p.m. Levi grabbed candles. I wrapped myself in a blanket. We sat in the living room, light dancing on the walls, rain hitting the windows. Levi looked at me, his voice softer than usual. "Do you remember the last time we sat like this? You were 19. It rained in LA and we lost power in the dorm." I laughed. "You tried to make s'mores on a scented candle." "I did make s'mores," he corrected. "They tasted like lavender." We both laughed, then fell silent again. Something was building between us. It wasn't loud or sudden. It was quiet and warm, like a spark that had always been there, waiting for the right moment. He leaned in first. His lips brushed mine like a question. I kissed him back like an answer. It wasn't fireworks or chaos. It was safe. Familiar. It felt like returning to something I didn't even know I missed. The next morning, we didn't talk about it. Not right away. He made coffee like usual. I sat at the table and watched him, wondering what this meant. He finally looked at me and said, "You don't have to figure it all out right now." I didn't. But I knew I didn't want to leave. A week later, I found a part-time job at a nonprofit that helped women transition out of abusive relationships. The irony wasn't lost on me. I started looking at apartments nearby, even though Levi never actually asked me to leave. Zoe came back, and everything felt different. She picked up on it immediately. She cornered me one morning while Levi was still asleep. "You like him," she said simply. I hesitated. "It's complicated." "Is it?" I stared at the floor. "He's my best friend." Zoe placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "That doesn't mean he can't be something more." Levi and I talked that night. We didn't make promises or label anything. But he told me he wanted me around. That he didn't know what his life looked like without me in it anymore. And for the first time in months, I felt like I belonged. Eventually, I moved into a small studio 5 blocks away. But we spent more nights together than apart. We learned each other slowly. Not just the surface stuff, but the old wounds, the silent fears, the strange little habits we each picked up from heartbreak. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. Looking back now, I smile at how wrong I was. I thought I was just crashing at my buddies. I thought I was running from something. But really, I was running to something. To healing. To friendship. To the kind of love that builds slowly, quietly, until one day you realize it's the thing that saved you. Levi never treated me like I was broken. He never rushed me to be okay. He just held space, for my sadness, for my anger, for my joy when it finally returned. And that made all the difference. Now when I hear the rain, I don't think about the night I left. I think about candlelight. I think about pancakes and music and the first kiss on that stormy night. I think about the man who opened his door when I had nowhere else to go, and gave me a place to start over. Not just in a new city. But in my heart, too. Please don't forget to subscribe for more interesting